Morning, guys. Man, I don't know about you guys, I just want to keep singing. That's so good, man. I just love worshiping the Lord. It's so awesome. Well, hey, guys. I'm going to talk to you this morning for a few minutes. We had to rework our schedule a little bit. We were going to present to you guys on Tuesday, but because of the fog, we had to present today. So we're going to be a little quick, but I'm going to be talking to you guys about Costa Rica 2017. How many of you guys know where Costa Rica is? Raise your hand if you know where it is. All right. Is it in North America, Central America, or South America? Just shout it out. All right. If you said Central America, you are correct. It is in Central America, close to South America, but between Panama is between it and South America. So I want to show you guys a little picture of where we will be going this summer. We are taking a trip with students from Immanuel. We're going with an organization called Students International. They work in 5 different countries around the world. They're based in Visalia. The director, Dave Hansen, he lives here in Reedley. Super cool guy. It's an awesome organization. They're very focused on helping the poor, but more than just going and, building a house or doing something like that, it's really getting to know people, establishing a long-term presence in the communities, and then bringing in short-term teams who can encourage and support and serve there, as well as learn from the people there. So this is a picture of San Jose, which is the capital of Costa Rica. It has about 500,000 people, so about the size of Fresno, kind of sprawled out. It's a really, really beautiful city, and we are going to be in the southern part, which is the Desamparados. So I want to break down a little bit of what the trip is going to look like. So the first week of the trip is going to be spent in language school. Now, for those of you who have already taken my class, you're like, oh, great, we have to take Spanish class again. All right, but the positive thing about this is, and you're going to hear a little bit later from some students who did go on the trip last time, that the language school is extremely helpful. So this week, I like it. Most teams, when they go just for 2 weeks, and they jump straight into their outreach sites, their ministry sites. But I like this language school week for a few reasons. The first reason is that we get to practice our Spanish, of course, before going to the ministry sites. So being that it'll be about a month and a half since we've been out of school, it'll be nice to warm your brain up a little bit on that. Another positive aspect is that you get to know the other members of the team during this time, right? We get to kind of have a little bit more team bonding time before we actually get out into our ministry sites. Another really cool thing is that we have a bit more free time. We get to know the area we're in, explore a little bit, do some more fun stuff. Take some fun little trips and stuff, which I'll talk about as well. So this is a really awesome week, the language school week. Next, we have host families. So another huge component of the trip is that you stay with a host family. So what is a host family? They're basically native people to Costa Rica who want to open their home up to different groups to come in and stay with them. Now, it's challenging because most of these families speak only Spanish. They don't really speak any English, unless maybe they have some kids who are studying English in school that know a little bit. But it's a really good challenge because it forces you to have to be able to communicate with them, even if you're not exactly sure what to say, right? You have all kinds of funny stories from those kind of times. So it's a really non-threatening environment. They're extremely friendly. They love having groups come. They love meeting different new people. The food is amazing. These people cook the best stuff for you. They really want to love on every person who stays in their home. I have very fond memories of all the meals I ate when I studied in Costa Rica. Some of you know that I studied for 4 months with this same organization, and my host family was amazing. I love those guys. It was a comfortable place to stay. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to worry about being all alone. You will have a roommate that you would stay with who would be able to, help you communicate with the host family. So that makes it a little more comfortable for you. So then the other huge component of the trip would be ministry sites. So after that first week of language school, we go out and we go serve in the community. So what this looks like is there's a lot of different sites that they have that are led by full-time staff. So they have a mix of both nationals who are from Costa Rica and other people who are maybe from the States or Canada or other places like that who come as well to be able to serve full-time, long-term there. And so some of the different sites that they have, they've got sports and recreation. They have a site called Social Services, which is, they do like aerobics classes for women. They do kids programs, all kinds of things like that. They've got a social work site and microfinance. The microfinance helps women start their own businesses and be able to sell their products both in Costa Rica, but even in the United States and in other countries. And the social work, how many of you guys have heard of World Vision or Compassion International? Have you guys heard of those? It's basically child sponsor programs where you pay maybe, $30-35 a month and you sponsor a kid. And it helps that kid to have the money to buy school supplies, to get the clothing they need, to be able to stay in school in communities that are impoverished. So they've started a program like this here. And so we've got a couple other sites. Tutoring Center, that's where I was working when I was interning there, where you get to help kids with their homework, which is a huge challenge because you have to help them in Spanish, but it's a lot of fun. They have a special education site, and they also have a wood shop where kids go and they get to build stuff. They build chairs, they build tables. Last time I saw, they were building like ukuleles and stuff. It's super cool what these little kids are doing in this wood shop. And they can even then go and sell the stuff that they make there, so they can make a little bit of money too. And so an awesome part of the ministry sites, again, the goal of the trip is not to just go and do something. The goal is to build relationships. Okay, people is what it's all about. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about one person that I'm very excited to see when I go back, a person who really, really changed my life the last time I was there. But that's what this is about. It's about getting to know people and learning from them. A lot of times we go thinking, what can I do? What can I give? I really go with open hands saying, Lord, what can I receive from these people? What do they have to teach me? So that's ministry sites. And we do, of course, do some fun stuff. We go to the beach. We do, how many of you guys have been ziplining before? We go ziplining. It's like you're flying through Jurassic Park. You go through the jungle. It's so cool. We go on different hikes. We go to downtown San Jose, kind of explore the city a little bit. We play lots of soccer. If you like soccer, man, you're going to have fun if you come with us. Tons of soccer. So we do fun stuff as well. It's not all work and no play. So this is the team that went in 2015, and I'm going to invite the guys that are here right now to come on up on stage. We got Lance Adams, Bailey Knickerbocker, Leticia Rankin, Naomi Booker, and Cameron Orozco. So come on up, guys. Come on, Naomi. Let's go, guys. Give them a hand. Give them a hand, a big hand. Okay, so I asked these guys to come up and just share briefly about some of their experiences. So each of them is going to kind of share about a different facet of the trip. So we'll start with Cameron. So Cameron, I want to know, what was your experience like at the language school, and what did you learn, and how did it help you throughout the rest of the trip?
Okay, so we went to language school the first 5 days that we were there for 4 hours a day. And it was incredibly challenging. The class that I was in was in all Spanish, and we had homework every night. But it was worth it when it came to my ministry site, which was social services. And so much of what we did, like Mr. B said, was just building relationships and talking to people. So we were sharing stories and just sharing God's love and God's word with people. And so the fact that we were able to have conversations like that with people in their vernacular was in large part due to the language school. So it was good.
Awesome. Thank you, Cameron. And yeah, awesome. Leticia, speaking of the language, a lot of people get intimidated by these things and maybe wouldn't want to go on a trip like this because of the language barrier. So talk about, the language barrier. How did you overcome it, and was it as big of a deal as you thought it would be?
So before going, the language barrier was something that I was really concerned about. I don't speak any Spanish, and at the time, I had only taken 2 years of Spanish here at Immanuel, so I did not feel prepared at all to go speak a fairly new language in an entirely different country. But after getting there and being there a few days and hanging out with the teachers and host families and staff and just different people from the community, I was really surprised by the bonds that you can still make even if you're not able to convey every thought perfectly. And then after actually getting into the social work site and working with kids, I realized that it's not about having the lengthy conversations. Even if you're just sitting there with them coloring or playing a game or a sport or just giving them a shoulder to cry on, it's showing love to them. And I think the most important thing is if your heart is in the right place and you're giving it your all and giving it your full effort, they can really see that, and that's what makes the difference to them and to you.
That's a really good word. Awesome. Bailey, talk to us just about specifically ministry sites. Just tell us about one really memorable moment or a memorable part of your ministry site.
So my ministry site was social work. It was myself, Cameron, Letitia, and 2 other girls. We went around to the communities that were stricken by poverty, and we talked to them about a program called Caminando Juntos. And we helped, it was like basically aid for like school supplies, school clothing, like the basic necessities that some families can't provide for their children. And going and seeing like these houses and seeing the way the families lived and how little they had, but yet they were still so thankful to God. And sorry, I'm only messing up. So it really like opened my eyes and gave me new perspective that like, even though like we may not have like that much, like we have a lot and we may think it's not as good as it is, but we look at these people and see how little they have, and we need to like change our attitudes towards what we do have. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Bailey. Naomi, talk to us just about one experience during the trip that was fun for you. Just something that was fun and why.
No. Probably when we went ziplining, kind of like a rainforest. Like, it was really interesting. That was a lot of fun. I thought I was going to die, but, I mean, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Naomi also became addicted to aloe vera juice, which is very popular in Costa Rica. So if you're friends with Naomi, just buy her an aloe vera juice, and she'll love you forever and always. Lance, talk to us now. It's nice for Lance because you guys know he's a native speaker of Spanish. But tell us a little bit about your time with your host family, Lance. What was that like?
So, personally, I like to think I had the best host family, but I think I had a little bit of an advantage over a lot of these kids because I did speak Spanish. But I definitely think I had the coolest host family. We had youth groups at our house. I think it was Thursday nights every week. And the first week it was just me, and then the second week they asked if I could invite all of these guys, and we all attended. And they had this cool like attic loft it was a third story of their house. And we went over there. We had youth group up there. We'd watch movies. Just like any family in the States, before you'd leave every morning, your mom would pack you a lunch, and you come back, and you'd eat dinner, but you eat dinner really late there, like at 9 or 10 o'clock. It's not like 6 or 7 here. It's really late. It's super awesome. They had 3 kids that were right around my age. They were 14, 16, and 19, I want to say. And definitely super cool to be able to connect with them. We still connect through Facebook. I have them all through Snapchat and Instagram. So they're just like all of us here. They're just kids. And definitely it was an awesome experience. And just like here in the States, it was a family.
Awesome. Give them a hand. Thank you guys so much. Yes, Christina. So, I think there's a few of you sitting out there, and you already know you want to go, and you've already talked to me about it. And there's some others of you out there that, you might be thinking now, there might be some different reasons why people might want to go. So, what are a couple of reasons to go to Costa Rica? Maybe you're thinking, hey, the language school sounded awesome. I really, really want to actually learn more Spanish. I want to get better at it. It would help me. Maybe some of you are like, hey, that ziplining sounded pretty awesome. I kind of like to go ziplining in the jungle. I'd like to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex when I zipline. Others of you might want to see enormous lizards that just show up across your path when you're walking. This is an actual picture that Bailey took. She legit just found this lizard walking across the path. Okay, but for me, why do I go back to Costa Rica? And I got about 2 minutes, so I got to be quick, guys. Why do I go back to Costa Rica? I'm going to keep coming back to it over and over again, and it's the relationships. It's the people I met there that I got close with. And I want to tell you about a guy that I met, right? People are what most important. And a guy in particular that I met, his name is Rafael Thompson. He's the sports and recreation site leader. Man, this guy's story changed me. he actually asked me to translate his testimony to the team because he doesn't speak English. And he asked me if I'd translate it for him, and I just could almost hardly not do it. It was such a powerful testimony. The guy was a phenomenal soccer player growing up. He was actually starting to play for a professional team in Costa Rica, but then he got into gangs, he got into drugs and alcohol, and he ended up committing murder, and he went to prison for 10 years. And even during those 10 years, he didn't come to know the Lord. He continued to have hardness of heart. It wasn't until after he got out of prison, after he lost his family, he lost everything, the Lord reached out to him during this night where he was actually going to go and commit a murder. But somehow he started walking and he heard this music. And he said, "What is that music?" And he started going towards it. And it actually was a Christian concert. And someone was preaching there. And they were preaching to come to know Jesus. And that was when he gave his life to the Lord. And ever since then, his life totally turned around. He's been clean. He's been sober. He got his family back. Now they get to minister together. He has an incredible influence over all the kids in the sports site that he does. And just being around this guy, like he'll just get up on buses. And he's not ashamed or afraid at all. He'll just start preaching and just sharing Jesus with anybody and everybody. And man, being around that guy was contagious. I love this guy. And me and him built some kind of a connection during the few days that I was there with him that I just haven't forgotten about. And I'm so excited to see him. I just messaged him on Facebook like, "Man, Rafa, I can't wait to see you." And it's so awesome to build these relationships. So the last thing I really want you guys to consider, but real quick, we do have a meeting tonight in my classroom at 6:30, okay, room 6. If you're interested, for you and your parents to come, check it out. We're going to talk about all the details. I'm sure you're wondering about finances and all that. We'll talk all those details tonight. There's no commitment by going to the meeting. If you just want to check it out, it's totally fine. But I really want to ask you guys something as we're closing right here. I really want you to check in with your heart. Some of you right now are saying to yourself, "Man, I really would never want to go on a trip like that." But you're feeling this little thing in your heart, and you can't quite ignore it. It's that little thing that's saying, "Well, what if you did go? Well, what if you did do it? What if you could raise all the money? What if you could do a trip like this?" I want you to pay attention to your heart, guys. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we all need to be obedient to the Lord. He's not calling every single one of you to go on this trip. But there are a few of you sitting there right now who are feeling that tug on your heart. And the Lord is calling you to go. And all He's asking you to do is step out, be obedient, take a risk, and see what He's going to do with that. So let's go ahead and pray, and then we're going to close, okay? Jesus, thank you so much. I just thank you for each and every student here. Lord, I thank you so much for every heart in this place, God. I thank you for those especially who have been just seeking you and pursuing you, Lord. And I pray for those right now, Lord, that you are putting it on their heart to go on this trip. I pray that they would not ignore that, God. I pray that they would not just push that to the side, but that they would pay attention to it, that they would be obedient, Lord, and that they would seek you, because you are, for those who seek you, you do abundantly beyond all that we could ask or imagine. And so I just thank you for that, Lord, and I just bless each of these guys. In your name we pray. Amen. Seniors.